Okay, 2021 years ago, Jesus was born on Christmas. We've celebrated his birthday, and last week we celebrated a message about New Year's resolutions. Well, today I'm going to start by telling you that the lesson today is about Jesus' life from his birth, and you can see the baby in the crib, and you can see the cross at the other end, and that's from beginning to end of Jesus' life here on earth. Have you ever heard of good news being compared to a shot in the arm? That's kind of a saying that's been around for a while. When someone needs some good news, they might say, "I need a good shot in the arm today." Well, we're hopeful now with the virus having been with us for almost a year, and now we have a vaccine. Guess how they administer that vaccine? It's a shot in the arm. And it is truly good news. Well, Jesus' parents, Mary and Joseph, were joyful and happy when Jesus was born. They knew it was going to happen, and Mary had been told ahead of time that it was a very important birth, that Jesus would play a very important part in the Jewish culture and religion. Sickness is still around us, and we're hopeful with the vaccination news, just as Mary and Joseph were hopeful, bringing Jesus into the world. At that time, Herod was king in the Israel nation. And Herod wasn't a real nice person. He had some bad traits. Well, the birth of Jesus was foretold. And some of the scriptures in the Old Testament talk about a king or a ruler that was coming from the city of David, which would be Bethlehem. Now, that bothered Herod a little bit. So in our lesson today, we're going to bring Herod into the picture and how Jesus had to be careful, and his parents had to be careful for him to keep him safe from Herod. Okay, well, now I want to introduce you to the setting. You can see the baby Jesus in a crib, and that's where he was first born. That's how he spent his first night, in a manger in the city of Bethlehem. And over here are 3 paper plates with faces on them. And that represents you kids out there who are, because of the virus, you're forced to watch the children's message from a distance. And so I've got some paper plates here with faces on them. Feel free, kids, parents, to send us your name and a picture if you'd like. And next time, there'll be I can paste the picture or put your name on a plate. Okay, so it's like having the virtual presence is like making a reservation at church. So here's your reservation, kids. You're here today, but due to the virus, you have to watch at a distance. Now let's suppose that the chairs also represent seats at a football game. And the plates, of course, are the spectators. You're watching a game. Watching a game is kind of like listening to a story. As the story develops, you listen to it, and eventually you hear the ending. You know how the game ended, who won the game. So there's a little bit of parallelism between the chairs and a imaginary stadium here, and the story as it unfolds. So remember that you kids are young and you've got a lot of experiences to have in the next few years, just like Jesus did as he grew up. He started as a baby. He went through some rough times with King Herod, getting away from King Herod, staying safe, and then finally he had his mission on earth, which, as we know from the Easter story, ended up on the cross. Now, we need to get in the mood for the lesson. So sit back and relax for a moment, and we're going to listen to some marching music, get in the mood, and then we'll hear the first half of the story. Okay, there's nothing like a little music to get in the mood for a good story. Many things happened to Jesus when he was a child. Some were happy, some not so good. And the reason that we have Bible school, children's messages like today, Sunday school, and even some of the dinners at our church, so that we can learn more about Jesus and his life on earth, and what the real reason for his coming is. We celebrate together. So one of the first things that happened to Jesus after that first Christmas, 2021 years ago, was that God warned Mary and Joseph that the evil King Herod was looking for a baby that was prophesied to be born in Bethlehem, and he was also referred to as King of the Jews. Well, Herod was really jealous when he heard that message. So he called on his wise men, who were astrologers. That is, they knew where the stars were. And he said, there's supposed to be a baby born in Bethlehem any time now. So come to Bethlehem and find that baby. And then come and tell me where he's at so I can come and worship him too. Well, the wise men thought about that. And let me put my paper down just for a second and pick the baby up. But when the shepherds showed up at the stable where Jesus was born, you know, he spent his first night in a manger. And the shepherds were there, but the wise men showed up with their camels, and they had some gifts for Jesus. Well, when Jesus is standing up, or when I'm holding Jesus up, his eyes are open. when I tilt him and put him back in bed, his eyes go closed. Now, somewhere halfway between, his eyes are blinking. Not sure if you can see that happening, but anyway, this is not in the Bible. The Bible says that the wise men heard in a dream that they were to go home a different way and not tell Herod where they found Jesus. Well, my story deviates a little bit because I think that it's possible in that dream that the wise men had that Jesus winked at them. He blinked his eyes, and I suppose they winked back. You know, we do that with little babies sometimes. But it was a secret. And they didn't go back through Herod's palace. They went straight home by a different way. And Herod was really upset when he found out that Jesus was not in Bethlehem anymore. Jesus had gone somewhere. Well, Mary and Joseph took a little excursion and went to Egypt. They kept Jesus safe for about 2 years or more. And then they heard that Herod had died, so they came back. And they came back to the Galilee area and set up home in the town of Nazareth. So, the story next time, which will be not next week, but the week after next, I'll be back, and we're going to listen to the continuation and the final second half of this story. Remember, it's like being at a football stadium, and you hear the first half, or you watch the first half, and then you get the second half. Well, the second half is coming. I think it's January the 20th. So, there's something you can do between now and then. Have your parents read chapter 2, and if you're really ambitious, you can read chapter 3 too. But chapter 2 is about the lesson today, and chapter 3 will be a little bit about the lesson in 2 weeks. Not the next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that. So, we'll talk more about God's promise. And for now, it's just halftime at the stadium. And we'll resume the story in 2 weeks with chapter 2. And by the way, Jesus' cousin, John the Baptist, is going to be featured in that story also. And there's a little bit about him in chapter 3. So there's some homework for you, and for the parents too, to read those stories to the kids so you'll be prepared. So be sure and come back for the second half. And don't forget, if you'd like, send your name and a picture if you'd like, a small picture, and I'll paste it on some paper plates. And I'm hoping that in 2 weeks we won't just have a couple chairs here with faces on it, but we'll have a whole row of chairs with lots of kids. So see you then. Bye-bye.